Hello everyone and welcome to another Mage video. In this video I'd like to talk a little bit about Ineffable Truth, the corruption that reduces your CDs for the Fire Mage. I've done a video for the Frost Mage featuring Ineffable Truth for a Frozen Orb build. Instead of showing you a specific build for Fire, I want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of Ineffable Truth and how the theory of stacking a high number of Ineffable Truth corruptions can produce some interesting results. We've seen, for example, in the last little while, Holy Paladins in general, getting some really amazing resets on their abilities. And I want to talk about why that happens for something like Fire, and what's going on when Ineffable Truth happens. Just as a disclaimer, I don't think Ineffable Truth stacking is a really great idea for Fire. We already have a lot of amazing tools with Mastery % stacking to go together with big burst windows. Ineffable Truth tends to flatten out your damage profile, meaning you have many occurrences of your skills, but they don't have the same punch in that one window. In any case, Ineffable Truth is a buff that your character receives for 10 seconds. While that 10 seconds is rolling around and you have the buff, you will get a certain percentage of cooldown recovery on your skills. It's important to note how this actually functions. If you have not pressed any ability, say Dragon's Breath, which has a 20-second CD, I'm running about 100% cooldown reduction through Ineffable Truth in this demo. If your ability, like Dragon's Breath, is not on CD and you gain the Ineffable Truth buff, when you press Dragon's Breath, it will take it from a 20-second CD to a 10-second CD immediately and start cooling down naturally your Dragon's Breath from 10 seconds. But when the buff expires, Ineffable Truth will revert whatever time is left based on the same percentage. So, for example, if you had Combustion at 30 seconds left, you've used it, you're still fighting, it hits the 30-second mark, and you get an Ineffable Truth proc with 100% Ineffable Truth, it will immediately send it to 15 seconds because you've essentially cut it in half. That will tick down during that time to around 6 seconds or so, after which you lose the Ineffable Truth buff. When you do lose it, your cooldown on Combustion will shoot back up to about 10 seconds. Or, it was about 5 when I did the demo for this, so it basically, again, puts back in place the same percentage that's left on the CDs. So when you're playing with Ineffable Truth, often you'll see the tooltips fluctuating back and forth as you gain and lose the buff. This is important to note because when you have really high percentages of Ineffable Truth, you can sometimes close the window and get multiple occurrences of a spell while you still retain the buff. This is what I was trying to show in my Frost Mage video, where, due to the way that Blizzard reduces the cooldown of Frozen Orb, you could often, through Ineffable Truth, get many instances of Blizzard, which has a fairly low CD. You could basically reduce the CD of Blizzard itself to a global cooldown press, and you could press it every global cooldown while Ineffable Truth was running. The advantage of this for Frost Mages, of course, is that you have, in the Ineffable Truth window, 5, 6, 7 blizzards coming down, all of which are reducing the CD of your Frozen Orb and causing it to come back sooner. This is the same principle that we're working with when we think about a specific talent in Fire Mages, and that is Kindling. Kindling is usually not used in Fire Mages for the exact reason that we're going to use it. In normal Fire Mage play, especially with heavy cleave, what you're looking to do is stack together everything you have, your CDs, your bracers, your memory, all into a specific window that you can control. But if we took Kindling in that scenario, we would reset quicker our Combustion. Combustion will be back before some of the other of our CDs line up together. And that's not what we want to do for the traditional Mastery Fire Mage build. In this kind of a build, what Kindling allows us to do, kind of like the Frost Mage, is to manually reduce the CD on Combustion. And what Ineffable does, if you had really high percentages of it, is it cuts in half or even further the CD that's remaining on Combustion, and then through the use of Pyroblasts and Fire Blasts, etc., we can chip away at what remains and get back our combustion really quickly. Essentially, if you were able to stack about 300% IT, which is the number that's kind of reasonable to hit with our current corruption levels that will put you under the 40 threshold, then you can take a 1 minute CD with Vision of Perfection and cut it down to about 20 to 22 seconds if you got the Ineffable Truth buff and then pressed your Combustion. With 20 seconds, you can do a lot within your Combustion window to reduce, through Kindling, the remaining CD on Combustion. And therefore, while Ineffable Truth is up, there's the potential to have a chance to press it again. Remember, as we cool down Combustion within the Ineffable Truth window, as that number goes lower, what Ineffable will add back on at the end becomes less and less. So, in other words, I'll show you now as we go through with our Dragon's Breath and Combustion. You can see how it functions as I'm talking for the rest of this video. What Ineffable allows us to do is drastically reduce, on the whole, over the course of a whole fight, the CD of spells like Combustion by using these mechanics to our advantage. The one thing to note, though, is that it always works with whatever number your CD is at already. So as you can see Dragon's Breath ticking down here, if it were to proc now with 10 seconds left on Dragon's Breath, at my 100% reduction, it would set the number to 5 and then start cooling it down from there. And hopefully you'll get a chance to see with my Combustion at 40 seconds and falling what happens when I get the same kind of CD for that. It'll set it to about 20 seconds or 10. There it goes down to 20 seconds right now. You can see me pressing my buttons to naturally cool it down within this window. And now I've got it down to 8 seconds, and it'll go back up to about 8 seconds left. So the advantage of this kind of situation, here it is coming off CD. My poor WeCore doesn't know how to deal with it. The advantage of this is that you get a sort of stacking or a coming together or threading together of two mechanics. One is the natural cooldown that you're supplying by using Kindling, and another is the proc that you're getting from Ineffable Truth. Again, this is about 90% Ineffable Truth. If you had a much higher threshold, you can see these procs would be far more meaningful. Now, the reason I say it's not very viable is because you're depending on a proc, and this could occur at any time in an encounter or in a Mythic Plus pull or in a PvP scenario. And you may not be able to make use of those procs in the time you're given. But on certain fights that are a little more static, like Shadhar, where it's single target, you can have the potential to high roll a great number of these reductions and have a really high uptime on something like Combustion through this use. And I wanted to make a video just to highlight the specific mechanics of how it's working in real time so that you can see as the player and not just hear a chart of math, but actually see it functioning in real time and have your own hopes and dreams of stacking crazy numbers of Ineffable Truth to find other ways to break the game. This also is useful for Fire Blast itself, so Ineffable Truth is kind of an okay piece to add on to your Mastery build if you need to fill, because when you get the proc, your Fire Blast, which already has a really low CD of about 10 seconds, will be cut down significantly. And this can help you if you're just doing the normal Fire Mage build that stacks a bunch of Mastery and puts your CDs together. This can help you to squeeze out a few more Fire Blasts if you get them. In any case, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope if you have a large number of Ineffable Truths through the luck that you got and you didn't happen to destroy them, that you maybe have a chance to mess around with some really potentially broken things. Thanks very much for watching, and have a good day.